Oh.
Hello everyone, TikTok, Facebook.
Hola.
Thank you everyone so much for being here once again in the Deportations Corner. We are Noyes Associates, a firm of immigrants for immigrants, bringing you a lively discussion about everything concerning immigration. We're so happy to be here with you. My name is Juan Sánchez. I'm here with attorney Shernette Noyes. We are Noyes and Associates, a firm of immigrants for immigrants.
Yes, we are here today with so much has been going on. It's like there's so much immigration news that has been going on, and it's just so important to not just.
It feels so chaotic. I feel like everything immigration. Every time you turn around, there's something new.
Yeah.
Just so much fear, so much anxiety, so much worry, so much pressure. We even have clients getting mad at us.
Right.
And it's very sad. Because we're only here helping people for the choices that they made, and when they don't have the the outcome that they desire, then we're to blame. So that lack of responsibility, honestly, is why there is more enforcement.
Of course, because the thing is, like, we all have to be accountable for our actions. My grandmother always said, for every action there is a reaction. So in this situation, when it comes to immigration, we all make a decision whether to come here illegally or overstay a visa. But people are always trying to put the blame on others before taking that responsibility, that accountability. And that's one thing where we want to enforce here in Deportations Corner, is that everyone needs to take account for their decision. It's not the attorney's fault why your papers is still pending. Because immigration have a caseload. They have a backlog. So it's that we all have to understand and be patient in this time. I understand there's so much fear. We have people who are green card holders that are being ordered deported.
Yes. Absolutely. It feels like no one is safe nowadays. Even people who, citizens, even an attorney was given a notice to leave the country immediately. Some kind of procedural error, of course. This immigration attorney, her information must have gotten crossed in with some client's documents, and she was notified that she needed to leave the country immediately. And that is, it's a very scary message. We're living in very scary times where, if we're being told something so aggressively, like you must leave, like there's so much panic, anxiety, and worry that must cross through people's minds. And when we feel that, we know it. It's not an easy situation to feel that you've came into this country, you're trying to build a future for yourself, and then you can just be blocked out at any minute, at any moment, with no warning, quote unquote. I'm not saying no warning, quote unquote. And why would I say no warning, quote unquote?
Because
you don't need a crystal ball to know that if you have no status, you are at risk.
That is true. If you have no status, you are at risk, and immigration is being intentional about enforcing the rules right now. And I see where a client went in for an affirmative asylum interview, but they were served with a notice to appear and being detained because they overstayed. So they're not even waiting on the asylum interview to issue and detaining people right now. It's the fact that if you're overstayed and you're in their vicinity, they're like, oh, we can issue NTA and put you in notice to appear. NTA is a notice to appear, and put you in mandatory detention until you go in front of a judge. So those are the tactics that they're using right now to enforce this mass deportation executive order.
And it's very sad, especially for, even some other families that we serve, and there's really no option. There's really no legal avenue.
Yes.
And, people should know that, if you've been here 20 years, 30 years, 10 years, you had an opportunity to do something, and we understand that not everyone has the resources available to file for a case or to have something pending or filed, but it is your responsibility at the end of the day to seek any kind of support. Like, we have so many people that come into the doors and say, oh, I got careless, or, I was just thinking about helping other people back home. I was, building my house.
And that's a common story you hear, whether you're Hispanic or from another country that are not an Hispanic community. We're seeing where clients are saying, oh, but I have to work and I have to send money back home for my mom, my dad, my siblings. Like, everybody's calling me for funds. Even right now, they don't even care that there's a mass deportation. They're only thinking about themselves. So now you have to become selfish and think about yourself. If you have been to an attorney before and he or she said you had no case, maybe time has passed, something else may have happened in your life that they can say, well, you were eligible for whether a T visa, right? A U visa, or anything else. And if you don't have an option, as we always talk about, we are working with another attorney in Canada to explore whether or not you are able to be able to go to Canada legally. So there are options out there, but don't just sit around and not do anything. It's for you to act upon that. So, what is our topic for today? What is our main topic? Other than just the mass enforcement that is going on.
I mean, I really feel that, the topic is just the immigration stress. And let's admit, how do you guys feel? How are your families feeling? We hear it every day, all day long. We go to events at churches, at schools, universities, business. It's all such a huge stress, to be watching over your shoulder, to worry about, if your kids, who's going to take care of your kids, who's going to take over your assets. We're all, I feel like it's very overwhelming time to be living right now in this time of uncertainty. I really feel like that's part of what's one of the strategies, obviously, in doing this, because things are changing so much. Like, we had some clients that came in, with TPS. And it's like, I'm protected. Well, now you're not. No, but the Supreme Court or a judge blocked it. Well, it's being overturned. Like, it's like such a, in Spanish it was a tirijala. It's like, you're being pulled in all these directions from all these different things that are being said, and it's so confusing. And it's, beyond the panic and the frustration, the confusion, the change in rules, the change in enforcement. People are feeling like, Trump is a dictator, right? But Trump is only following the law. And so many people are struggling to understand that fact, that other administrations were not enforcing the law, and Trump campaigned on law and order, which is that we need to have a country of laws. Countries need borders. We need to make sure that we make this into a national security priority. Identify who's here. Protect the economy. America first. Make America great again. That was the campaign.
That's true.
So now as families are suffering, it's sad, but it's like, we knew what was coming. We knew what was going to happen. And so many people were just, some clients are just like, like they're in the headlights, like zombies. Like, people are still not waking up to the fact that we are living in different times or in this administration. And we have people who just say, oh, nothing's going to happen. Trump hasn't deported as much people as Biden.
Yeah, but the thing is, right, that was before. They talk about the Trump administration before. Yes, the Trump administration before did not do as much deportation as President Biden administration did. But remember, we're still, we're only 3 months, almost 4 months into his administration. We still have 3 years, 3.5 years, if not much, left. So there's so much more things can be done that can happen, and because of how the administration is enforcing the law right now. Prime example is the Alien Registration Act. Everyone must register. if you come into this country illegally. So those who came in through the border, weren't inspected, did not get stopped, you are required by law to register. They try to block it in the courts, but the court says, no, it's law, it can be enforced. So now everyone who's here, if you have never filed any papers with immigration, you have never been stopped by ICE, then you are required to fill out that application and submit it, and go do biometrics. If you don't, you can be in prison for, I think it's 6 months, and also be fined. So they're getting a little bit much stricter. Because they also have the IRS signed an agreement to give information for the about 2 million plus undocumented immigrants who apply for ITIN, individual tax identification number. You can use that as your social security for work, to open a bank account, to do all these things. And a lot of individuals who come here want to be good citizens, want to have good moral character. They were working and paying their tax because IRS offered them that opportunity. But now that information is being given over to the Trump administration for enforcement.
And we saw even a post in the New York Times, that there's an article indicating that they're going to use a provision almost where they're going to make these ITINs and almost as if the people were dead, to deactivate their use for mortgages, for bank accounts. Mm-hmm. And people are concerned. I mean, we've had clients who are pulling their money out of their bank account, because they're worried about their assets being frozen. We have, people who don't want to file taxes right now. And again, this is the kind of fear and the kind of enforcement that's coming that we've been talking about, I think, for months. Started with detentions, deportations, raids. Now the registry, the alien registry, it is the law. Again, you have to register if you have not been fingerprinted in the United States or done biometrics. You must register. That is the law of the land. A lot of people are saying they're not going to do it, and they may impact their moral character in the future and ability to adjust status or do some kind of immigration process because they're not complying, they're breaking the law. And now with this, with the IRS, I mean, it doesn't surprise me because, again, the target has always been to go at people's ability to earn a living. Mm-hmm. Because if you cannot work, you are going to leave on your own recognizance. You won't have a choice but to leave on your own, because if you cannot eat, if you cannot pay rent, if you cannot support your family, it's going to create the conditions and the chaos where you're not going to have any other choice but to abandon the country. That's why, again, here at Noyes & Associates, we are a firm of immigrants for immigrants. We're bringing you these topics, these conversations, the discussion, because we're seeing it every single day, and people don't have to wait until it's too late. Like right now, those folks that have had family members detained, family members that are, are in deportation proceedings, and they see how frustrating it is because they cannot gather the evidence, so their family doesn't qualify for something. The family member was not married. They had a deportation order. They had a poor moral character. They got caught driving without a license. All these different situations and scenarios are leading to people's families being separated because they didn't seek help in time. They didn't follow advice. So no matter what you tell them, again, everyone wants to find someone to blame after the fact. But we just have to educate ourselves, become empowered as a community, and make sure that we are looking out for each other. It is very difficult to, try to defend someone once it's already too late.
Yeah, that is true. Because it's, as we talk about it, you always say, immigration is, they're going to do everything. They're going to start going into the jobs. Because even if you go to USCIS website, I was reading something where it says they released that information back on the 14th, where they said in March, on the 24th and the 28th, the ICE, USCIS assists ICE in detention and arresting 133 aliens in New York. And it shows you how they're doing it. They're like specifically, you could just open it and reshare the screen. It's just showing that they are going to go at everything that they can and every access and every way that they can to enforce this immigration policy, to comply with this executive order, to create a country where we have law and order, where we have borders.
And this was just released yesterday.
Yeah, on the 14th, yesterday.
So again, it's ICE assist in
USCIS
assist ICE in investigation leading to arrest of 133 aliens offenders in New York. So it's a 5-day operation, and they partner to target criminal aliens and violators in western, central, and northern New York. Of those arrested, 20 had criminal convictions or charges, including 3 who were convicted of homicide. 9 of the arrests were aliens who have been previously removed in the United States. 4 criminal search warrants were executed during the operation, specifically during the worksite enforcement component of the operation for federal violations of bringing and harboring certain aliens. So right there, violations for bringing in and harboring aliens.
But
that is
the specific part is a worksite enforcement. Like, they're going to they're starting these operations, and they're starting in rural areas where a lot of people are coming in and they're working on the farms or those type of work.
And again, this is just the beginning. A lot of people they're kind of in disbelief, but I really feel that we're going to be seeing more families looking for help once it start affecting financially, where people are going to be punished for employing undocumented workers, where we are going to see a rise in people looking for help. And unfortunately, again, it's going to be very hectic, to get help, to try to process things, to get your evidence. That's why we invite you to look at the podcast topics that we have here at our site, and we're going to continue to be revamping our content to continue to educate. We continue to talk about the humanitarian options, the family options, the Canadian options, whatever it is that you need to do, but how can we safeguard your future here in the United States? How we can make sure that we can provide you with the best avenue possible. Again, whether that is to fight for you to stay here in this country, or perhaps to plan to go back home, or go to Canada, but to make sure that you have something planned and in order, because again, this part about bringing in federal violations for bringing in and harboring certain aliens, this is going to be key to the workforce enforcement, to the Social Security verification, to the punishment of employers. Because if employers get in trouble for, again, bringing in and harboring certain criminal aliens, no one's going to put their hand in the fire for anybody. You may be the best carpenter, the best painter, the best construction worker, whatever the case is, what may be, an employer's not going to risk their business for hiring you. So this is going to affect many families, sadly. It is going to be very chaotic, but again, it's not that we have a magic ball. It's that we are seeing the pattern continuing to happen, and we're trying to bring awareness. So you may be listening to this, and you may not have an immigration issue, but maybe you have a brother or sister,
Or
a friend,
neighbor,
someone who can benefit from this message. So Objective Haters will continue to bring you topics, bring you discussions, and empower you, motivate you to really pursue getting legal professional help more than ever before.
Yes, and it's very important when you talk about getting professional help. You need to seek an attorney, not someone who can fill out a form. Because everyone is going to say, oh, it's just paperwork, it's just form. We have people who went to just their friends, their family, and even notarios to fill out applications, and then they're not being denied. and everybody's panicking. So before you go and pay your friend or neighbor $100 because the lawyer want to charge you $1,000, I'm using an example. It's better you pay that $1,000 now and protect your sanity than wait until after you go to an interview or something is denied and then now you're panicking. Now the lawyer may charge you $2,000 because they're now fixing more issues than if you originally allowed them to do the case. So it's very important to not just rush and fill out some paperwork. Don't let someone tell you that you should qualify for asylum and file fake asylum papers either, because we see that quite a lot.
Again, that's kind of where we were saying, where necessity cannot bring you to the point where you cross over your values.
Yeah.
Where truth is overshadowed by deceit and lie. So as much as somebody will tell you, hey, I can get you a work permit, I can get you a social, and we were having a discussion today about that. Well, it's a desperation, they make it seem like they're going to help you win. Like, that's the strategy. I'm going to get you a work permit, I'm going to get you a social, and then when it comes to your court case, I'm going to give you all the evidence you need to win. Like, you need to stop being so gullible at a certain point of knowing that you paid $500, and all of a sudden, you left your country 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 10 years ago, and you're having somebody convince you to do an asylum when you don't fear returning back. Most people want to go back to their country. We're not saying that there aren't those people who have suffered and fear persecution, but the great majority of people dream of one day going back, of one day making it in America, having that American dream, having that $1 million to go back to fix everything back home. Like, I feel like it's such an immigrant story. We escaped from poverty. We're supposed to now help everyone else, and that's a tremendous pressure that people have, and that they then must live the parent system, and that then are willing to sacrifice their ethics, to commit fraud, and in essence prove the administration right, which is that people who come into this country are here to lie, to cheat, and defraud and take over American jobs. Because the minute you allow your necessity and allow that to be an excuse to break the law, you are proving this administration right. That people are just cheating the system and cheating the American people. And unfortunately, because of the few who are doing it, everyone else has to pay for it because they look at us as a community, the immigrant community. And if a few people are doing it, then everybody must be doing it. Now, it doesn't work that way in reverse. You can't do the Uno reverse on them and say, well, you guys have done X, Y, and Z all over the world. Because again, anyway, that's a whole other conversation. But it's the world that we're living in. We are living in Trump's America.
That's true. I always would say, as I tell you all the time, when people say, well, this didn't happen before, I said, well, this is a different time. This is Trump's America this time. We're dealing with a different president who is more serious now about enforcing immigration. And it's time for you to also become serious about what you need. Do you want to stay here in America? Yes or no? Do you want to just go back home? Yes or no? Do you have a plan to go back home if you want to go back home? Do you, even if you don't want to go back home, but you don't have a choice right now, do you have a plan in place? Are you prepared for that? I'm not trying to put any fear in anyone. That is not our intention. It's just to be real honest with individuals, because we see it so much that people are sitting in front of us and they're saying, oh, but I have a fear. What is a fear? Oh, my house was burned down. Was you targeted? No, they just burned down the entire community.
Yeah, or even just or tell stories, mix stuff up, which is that even, again, what we're discussing here is that please seek help. Don't listen to someone who's going to tell you to lie. who's gonna, tell you that things are gonna be cheap and easy, that you don't need a lawyer, that you're better off, saving that money and something get back home. Like, you need to make a choice. Are you gonna invest in your future? Are you gonna invest in securing your ability to remain here in this country that has provided you an ability to provide for your family? Or are you gonna risk all of that by, lying and committing fraud and exposing yourself to being permanently barred? Now, again, we know everyone's situation is different. That's why we invite you to reach out to us. Our phone number is 203-572-6748, 203-572-6748. We are here for our community. You will find all types of educational content here on our website and our social media. We invite you to continue to share and join us in really sharing and empowering our community.
Yeah, no, ask questions, and share content, for sure, share content, but more so, be educated about every option that are there. And if there's no option, just be honest with yourself that you're not going to let somebody tell you what to do, because it's hard when you get caught in a lie. Because at the end of the day, when you sign that paper, it's you alone as held responsible. Not because most of the time your friends, they're not going to sign it along with you. Everything is all on you, and you're going to be the one to give account for your action, your story. Because a lot of times when people lie, they don't remember the story, and you ask them the same question 3 times differently, which is how immigration do anyways. And then they give you something totally different answers.
Right. No, absolutely. And again, this is why we want to make sure that all of you know that we're here for you. We want to educate you. We want to empower you. And please make sure you are seeking professional help. I mean, we can't stress this over anymore. And so, and again, this is a very short week. This is Holy Week.
Yes.
We will be, continue to bring you content, testimonies. Please feel free to check out our social media. Again, like I said, we have a lot of families who have now that peace, that freedom that many of you who may be watching are looking towards. I know that it is possible, but you must seek professional help.
Because just as today, we, as humans like we touch, there's a lot going on, but then immigration, there's still approving cases that are bona fide cases. We had clients who received their U visa bona fide determination. That is good for them. So there are good things that are going on. We had clients who got their green card, their work permit. So immigration is not stopping the work. They're still processing stuff. It's just that you got to do your due diligence. If you're going to see an attorney, do your research on the attorney as well too, to see what they have a website or if they have social media. Research them. Read their Google reviews if they have a Google page, or read the testimonies that there, because that's important as well.
Absolutely. And again, my name is Juan. This is Shernette. We are from Noyes and Associates. We are from Immigrants for Immigrants. We're so happy to bring you information, discussion. Not everything is gloom. There is some hope. We're trying to bring you more stories and testimonies of our people to inspire you and to be able to provide for you that little bit of confidence to seek help, to know that it's possible, to not be afraid. We are going to be able to help you, but if you help yourself, and that is that you have to break your silence, you have to explore options, and we got to see what may be available to you.
Yes, that is also true. We really need to have our community be educated. I can't keep saying that because it's very true. Because we see a lot of times clients who come in doesn't even know what happened. They were like, oh, but my friend or this person did this for me, but I don't know what I signed for.
Yeah, and that's sad to us, because you're paying for a service and you don't know where you're at. That's unacceptable. So we always strive towards collaborating with you, to be visual with you, to review with you, and anyone who you're working with, should be able to do the same. You are the boss, you are the customer, you are paying your hard-earned money, and you are requesting a service to give you that peace of mind. And again, you have to work hand in hand with whoever is going to be there with you.
Saludos.
Yes, thank you so much. Saludos a todos los que están aquí. Thank you so much, guys. We will be back on Thursday to continue our discussion with you. We appreciate everyone who was present on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, all over. We really appreciate you guys being around. And we're going to continue to do this because this is a crucial moment we are in our history where information is power, information is key, and you still are able to change your future.
No, that is true. And then on Thursday we'll be back, but we'll be bilingual. We'll be doing it in both Spanish and English on Thursday. So tune in and share.
Claro, lo estaremos haciendo en español y bilingüe este jueves. Vamos a volver a que los martes en inglés y los jueves en español. Así es, mi gente. Muchas gracias a todos. Thank you, everyone,
Thank
for
you,
tuning in. We will
everyone.
be back in Tuesday, Thursday in Spanish. Thank you,
Yes.
everyone.
Thank you.